What up, gang? Colton, Lindsay here, coming at you live on my Facebook page, looking fresh in my polka dots and my handkerchief. And gotta hurry and wrap this out, go upstairs. My mom's coming over to visit us, so I got to be here for her. Cool, so I'm gonna throw out some invites. I'm gonna talk to you about, usually, if you guys aren't aware of this, what I share on my live streams are typically the challenges that I'm facing currently in my life, right? And what I have found is that, part of understanding compassion is that everyone has challenges. Can you guys hear me? Put yes in the comments. I make sure you can hear me. I'm using a microphone, so I want to make sure it gets the sound. So one of the things that I've observed is everyone has challenges. True or true, right? If you've got challenges, write yes below that I get you're a human being as well. So what I've noticed is recently we've made some major changes inside of our organization, and quite honestly, it's a decision that's been on my shoulders for quite a while, and to make this shift. And so we've recently parted ways with our transaction coordinator, and we're redefining that role for us to grow in the direction that we want with our organization. And so that's a very big change. Number one is especially because that person had been with us for 5 years, so that's a big change for us to go through, to not be in business with that person anymore. But besides, the point of that is now going forward, it's like, okay, we've got all these tasks that I didn't really hire anyone to fill that position, right? And it's been so long since I've had to do that role. Really, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm relying on my team to know more than I am, right? And I think overwhelmment it's a compilation of several things, right? It's number one is it's definitely way down on your manifestation zone. So I look at manifestation zone as feel good zone and feel bad zone, right? And you've got about 6 or 7 emotions that are manifesting what you want into reality. I mean, you just feel good, right? And then you've got a bunch of emotions from contempt, or from boredom to worry to doubt to fear to frustration to impatience to anger. You've got these energies, emotions, and those typically come across when you're projecting onto someone else what you're feeling about yourself. Okay, and so we all get overwhelmed. The natural tendency, see, if you stay in that overwhelmed moment, I know if I stay overwhelmed, I become useless. I become a train wreck. I'm like the yard sale that no one wants to go around. That's what happens, and you might be able to relate with that if you become that person when you're overwhelmed. And so when I made this decision, I knew that starting Wednesday, I will be out of the office for about 2.5 weeks. I'll still be doing work and creating content. I just won't be in the office. My wife leaves to LA, so I'll have both of the girls by myself while she's in LA at UPW with Tony Robbins. And then when she gets back in town on Monday, we hurry and grab all our stuff and we hop on a plane and we head to Costa Rica for about the next week and a half or so, 10 days or so. And so as I've made this decision to go a different direction with our organization, it not only did it totally disrupt any flow or any pattern that we have, that I believe will make a monster change for every one of our lives inside of the organization, and even for that person that already we've set up with a new opportunity and a new career and a new team inside of our local market. They're going to be happy, we're going to be happy, and we're going to be able to ultimately grow to the next level we want to get to. See, one of our major goals with inside of our organization is get to that $1 million a year revenue mark. Okay, so we were just right around the $600,000 mark in 2016. Our goal is to get to that million mark, which is a pretty big number and it's pretty overwhelming. And to do that, the same patterns, the same habits that get us to where we're at today are not the same patterns and the same habits that are going to get us to where we're going. Okay, so mixed with the fact that I'm going to be out of the office, I'm going to have my kids full time, like that's a big job and responsibility, and all while I'm pretty much putting Vaughn, if you guys have met Vaughn, pretty much putting on all of Vaughn's shoulders, hey dude, I know that you're new to real estate and I know that you're new to this position, but figure it out because I'm going to be out of the office, right? Like I'm putting a lot of pressure on him as well, and then the whole team, the whole organization. So what I've noticed is I get overwhelmed. Jeremy gets overwhelmed. Garrett is, I don't know what he's doing. He's just like gallivanting right now on vacation, not overwhelmed, right? Because he's going to UPW. And then there's Vaughn that I can clearly tell he's getting overwhelmed because it's all new to him. Okay, so the tendency that we have when we get overwhelmed, for me, is like, okay, I got to do more work. I got to go put more action into place. I got to go take more action to overcome this overwhelming feeling. Whereas is as if we would just step back for a second and let that emotion, that energy process a little bit. So let me give an example. As I was leaving the office today, it was probably about a little after 5 o'clock, and Vaughn, I could see, was just clearly overwhelmed. He had to attend his first closing today, trying to figure out dot loop that has been new to him, figuring out this process. I could just tell that he was overwhelmed. I said, "Hey Vaughn, listen, have you already done your meditation today?" And clearly he had not, and he said no to me. I notice this because I do the same thing, right? When I get overwhelmed, I just start stacking more action items, and I try to do more and almost force more into reality. And to will yourself to success can only take you so far, right? But you're going to burn out. I burn out, right? Like I burned out with a freaking meltdown a couple of weeks ago because there's only so far you can push yourself to that next level. There has to come a time and a point in your career and in your life you have to allow it into reality instead of force it into reality. And that's kind of the stage that there's no way really I personally could go any further with my success by forcing it into reality. And in fact, I would think that everyone on my team is in that similar position that we're just tired of being tired of having to force it into reality, right? The whatever it takes attitude is awesome to an extent, but you can't burn yourself out. So I said to Vaughn, dude, chill out and go meditate. Take 15 minutes and let that energy and let that emotion, just let it process, man, because it doesn't mean it's bad to be overwhelmed or to be frustrated, but you got to allow that energy and that emotion to process out of you so you can get back to clarity and get back to taking massive action going forward. So massive action is really important, but only when you can get yourself into that energy that allows success from the action. So for me, whenever I notice that I tend to be trying to push a little bit more and do a little bit more, and it's with an overwhelmed feeling. Now there's doing a little bit more and you're feeling awesome. You're in the zone, right? That's great. Stay in that zone. But then there's doing a little bit more and you're trying to force the round peg into the square hole, which I know you can relate to me on this, guys, because you're human as well. You deal with it just like I do. Instead of trying to force that peg into that hole, how about you just chill out for a second? And one of the techniques that I use is meditation is huge in my life. Twice a day, 15 minutes, just letting it go. I use a couple different mantras, but one mantra that I'll turn to, especially when I'm overwhelmed, is I'll just use the words, let it go, let it go, let it go. And I'll do this, I'll just close my eyes, focus on my breathing, and just repeat that mantra over and over again, let it go. This is a technique that you guys can apply immediately to just let the tension go, let the overwhelming go, let the frustration or the fear or the doubt or the worry just disappear. And taking that a step further, one of the things that we tend to do is project our emotions on other people, right? For example, let me give you an example. Inside of our sales organization, we clearly have goals to make X amount of contacts and schedule set amount of appointments every single week, because if we're not presenting and getting contracts signed, we're going out of business. That's just the reality of it. And for any of you that are business owner or salespeople, I want you to write this down. 60 to 70% of your job is one thing. It's marketing yourself to get appointments, right? Is you must set the majority of your time, 60 to 70, or maybe even 75% of your time focused on getting appointments and getting new customers. We're in the marketing business. That's the reality of it. Okay. So what happens is when I get frustrated or I get overwhelmed, I then tend to see, someone else on my team that might be frustrated and overwhelmed and not doing exactly what they should do. Right. So what happens is I tend to project on them what really I'm feeling inside of myself and I'm judging myself for. Okay, so one of the things that can hurt you when you're in this emotion is you can actually hurt other people by forcing your will on them. Okay, forcing your will on them. That's not a good spot to be in, right? You don't want to be the dictator. Okay, so when you tend to find that you have feelings of frustration and overwhelmment and upset towards another individual, whether it's a spouse or whether it's a teammate, a coworker, or maybe another agent that you're working on a deal with, right? Instead of lighting that person up, take a second, walk outside, get a breath of air, light that person up in your mind, right? Because I'm not saying it's good to get rid of that emotion. Even in your imagination, if you're having a conversation with that person, let that emotion process, let it go. Because sometimes you can't bury that feeling alive. If you bury that feeling alive, it's going to suffocate you, it's going to kill you. And even though you might get over it for a second, you're going to still bury that inside of you. And now you're going to have resentment to that person, right? And reality is, it's just something you've got to work out in yourself, okay? So a couple techniques is literally just have an imaginary conversation with that person and be open to the idea that maybe you're not frustrated with them, but you're frustrated with yourself and you're just projecting it onto them, okay? So alleviate those negative emotions by going into a quick meditation. I recommend 15 to 20 minutes twice a day, but let's say you've only got 5 minutes. Do it for 5 minutes and just focus on that breathing. Focus on that breath and just let the bullshit float away. I can promise you this, that's going to then alleviate that overwhelmment and that energy, and you're going to go up into the next stage of manifestation zone. You're going to have passion, you're going to have love, you're going to have abundance, you're going to have enthusiasm, you're going to have excitement. Maybe even if you're only content, right? But content's a hell of a lot better than being overwhelmed or frustrated or impatient. Appreciate you for watching. Stevie, I appreciate you giving me the compliment on my live feeds. I just want to create value for you guys. See, I've got 3 really major purposes in my mission. Number 1 is create massive value for everyone that I possibly can. Number 2 is empower you to take action in whatever part of your life that might be. It might be in your health, it might be in your business, it might be just, waking up earlier, having a routine, or meditating, or whatever it is. Today I'm hoping to empower you guys to take some action into just letting that negative energy go, get some meditation, and just get into the feel-good zone so that when you do take massive action, you're in that zone, okay? You want to be in that zone. And then the final thing is, I'm just going to ask that you guys share this. If anything that I've ever said or done or created any value for you, do me a favor and click that share button. I would totally appreciate that. Appreciate you guys watching. I'm going out. Because buyers are really, really, really easy to get into your office and get a contract signed. But it takes a lot of time to get them to each house to be competing